Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast.
Well, that was like a mouthful.
Yeah, it was. I don't like my whole mouth was just got full of all the words. So, Racing Insiders podcast.
All the words.
I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider, and I'm here today, of course, with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. Yeah, so we like to, if you're new to the show, we get together each Monday. Well, except for Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Yeah, except for like holidays.
Kind of cool actually having a whole 3-day weekend for once.
Yeah, it really was. It was really nice. It was really nice. But otherwise, we show up on Monday nights on Facebook and on YouTube on the Crate Insider channels at 7 p.m. Eastern. So feel free to tell a friend. Yeah, let's get the word out. And then the podcast will come out on Tuesdays. You might, I never know where people are seeing us from or hearing us. If you just want to listen to just the words, because we don't actually show and tell much of anything here. So it's mostly just words. And you can listen to us on any of your favorite iTunes or Google Play, any of your podcast hosts. Yep. So anyway, welcome to the show. Any tech questions you've got, feel free to drop them into the comments. And of course, we will
answer them to the best of our ability.
Yes, and we always love to hear from people and where they're here from.
Opinion.
Mm-hmm. I see Scott's here. He says hi from California, where we'd save electricity if we had any.
No shit. I don't know. You just got to buy a windmill.
Okay.
Yeah, just buy a windmill.
Actually, I like the meme that you posted where it was a human-sized hamster wheel.
Right.
So people could generate their own power.
To charge their electric cars.
Yeah.
In California.
Exactly. Yeah. So tell me, Steve, it's been now 2 weeks since we did the show. How have you been?
Oh, I mean, good. I mean, just like I said, it was nice having, a 3-day weekend last weekend. Because, I mean, it was a little bit... I mean, after you're just busting your ass all the time, it's like really weird to have like a Monday off. But so honestly, I was a little bored on Monday, but other than that, I was good.
I didn't know you were bored. What did we do on Monday?
I was a little bit bored.
Oh.
No, we didn't do shit on Monday.
No.
Saturday and Sunday were fun though, because we like sat out back and played games and had some friends over and barbecued and stuff like that. But Monday was pretty much a lazy day.
Yeah, I did lots of reading because that makes me happy.
Right.
So I enjoyed it. I can't remember what the weather was like. It's been kind of been getting a lot of rain here and overcast. You just can't really count on it to be much of anything.
No.
So can't really do much.
Typical September.
Yeah. Typical. I don't know. Typical being in North Carolina where it rains all the time. David is here. He says, thanks, Kate, for the spacer. Absolutely. Welcome. And thanks for being here. We always love talking to our customers on the phone. Both you and I both do. Oh, yeah. When they call and we get a chance to talk to them. Yeah. So I guess we could talk about upcoming events. You've got one coming up.
I've got one coming up, and there'll be some exciting news tomorrow, but I can't really announce anything. So it'll be my dad's memorial race in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, in conjunction with the Lucas Oil Pittsburgh, which they will have a 20,000 win race for those guys, and we'll have some announcements tomorrow as far as what ours will be.
And where will your announcements happen at?
Through the Rush Racing Series.
Okay.
So if you don't subscribe to their page, I would definitely go over there and give them a click and like it, subscribe, or however that shit works. And, you'll see the announcement.
Yeah. Speaking of subscribing, we love to see you on all of our channels. So whether you're watching us on YouTube, hey, help us boost our like subscribership over there if you would, and hit the subscribe button. I know a lot of YouTubers talk about how they've got a lot of viewers, but not necessarily as many subscribers.
Right.
So we'd love for you to hit that subscribe. And then of course, join our email list is really the best way where we can have direct contact with you.
Don't you have like another thing going this month? Do you have a giveaway thing going, or have you started, or are you not going to do it this month?
No.
Just skip a month or something?
Yeah.
All right. That works.
Yeah. And now you're going to ask me who won, but Tori knows.
Well, no. We announced it.
Oh, did we? Okay, good.
Yeah. I remember that from last month. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. My other big thing going on, I'll get to that later, but we've already got some questions here. We actually have one that came from YouTube.
Okay.
It was a question on one of our YouTube videos.
Right.
And this is from Timothy. And he asked, will it be okay to choose the ProCamp mechanical fuel pump to stop the cause of vapor lock issue? Because the new gas now all has 10% ethanol in it to use on a carburetor
I
engine.
assume that you're talking about pump gas.
That's would be my assumption as well.
I mean, the ProCamp pump's perfectly fine to use. I mean, we use them on several different applications, but that alone is not going to stop your vapor lock. So we always suggest, running, like a phenolic fuel pump plate. And then obviously you need to insulate the fuel lines going underneath the headers that are, that you got coming up there. So a lot of things contribute to vapor lock. So those are the two things that I would do. But the ProCamp pump's perfectly fine.
Great.
I don't know if that answers the question or not, but it's vapor lock's heat is what causes it. So you got volatile fuel that's going to vapor lock. So anything you can do to get the heat away from the pump, aka the phenolic fuel pump plates, stuff like that, that's going to help.
Well, I've been selling the phenolic fuel pump plates for a long time.
Yeah.
What is it they actually do? They're really.
It's an insulator, so it insulates the pump from, being, if you got a metal plate and an aluminum pump, that heat's just transferring straight into that aluminum pump. Where if you got that phenolic, it insulates that aluminum from having actual direct contact with metal, which obviously is going to run a little bit warmer and heat the aluminum up like stupidly. So, I mean, because the plate's going to be running at engine temperature. So whatever the block temperature is, what the metal plate's going to be. When you got the phenolic on there, it insulates that and doesn't let the pump overheat.
Excellent. I've got another question here. Now, this is from Jeremy. He says, hey, y'all. Steve, have you ever sent a 602 block off to have Total Seal clean the cylinders, clean the cylinders up to see if it improved power? I see the boring honing machine they have is supposed to help a good bit.
No, because the honing stones that they've got are going to be no different than the ones that I've got. So no, I have not.
Is Seal Total Seal? Oh,
Total Seal rings. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. No, I mean, no.
Well, you don't need to because you actually have that same equipment in your shop.
Well, I mean, I don't know what honing machine that they have, but I mean, the stone, you only got a certain amount of stones that you're going to use on a cylinder wall. So, I mean, the only thing that I've seen that would be any different is like at a NASCAR Winston Cup shop that I was at one time, they were actually heating the block up to operating temperature as they honed it. So,
how did they do that?
The oil was hot, so they ran oil through the cylinders or through the water jacks and stuff.
Great. Next question is from Robert Elkins. He says, hey, Kate and Steve, I've always heard open spring pressure is more important than closed seat pressure. Around what should open pressures be on a Crate 602?
Gosh, I don't honestly know. I'd have to look at the book really, because I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, there's two different ways of thinking about it. So I'm more concerned with like mid-lift pressure. So which is usually how like I rate our springs is like mid-lift, because it has to control the valve from flying open. Also has to control it from closing and bouncing off the seat. So, I mean, that mid-lift pressure to me is like more important than, on the nose of a hydraulic cam versus, seat pressure on a hydraulic cam. Now, when we start getting into higher end stuff, then I mean that's going to change a little bit.
But it doesn't make a difference on a crate engine.
What?
This open versus closed seat pressure deal.
Well, I mean, it would, because you still have to control the valve. Yeah, it's going to make a difference, but I would be more concerned with mid lift than I would with peak. I mean, because most of those springs at peak lift are going to run, 5 to 6 pounds difference, or 5 to 10 pounds. Let's say 5 to 10 pounds difference, and 5 to 10 pounds isn't going to make the difference between valve float, honestly.
Great. James has a question. Can an HEI distributor run on a 16-volt battery?
Yeah, I've got guys doing it. Not sure how long the coil will last in them, but yeah, I mean, if it's a coil that's, if it's meant for 16 volts, I'm assuming it's going to be just like a coil pack in a sense, where, yeah, eventually it's going to knock the coil out of it. But yeah, I mean, I've got guys run that.
So running a 16-volt battery instead of what, like a 12-volt?
Yeah, instead of a 12-volt. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I mean, still, I mean, to me personally, if you have to run an HEI, 12-volt with an alternator is still the way to go, honestly.
Interesting.
Other than that, if you don't have to run an HEI, throw that pile of shit in the garbage and run a good distributor and good ignition box. I mean, I'm not being rude. It's just, you know, HEIs unfortunately are 1960s technology. And there are some series where you absolutely have to run it, so you don't have a choice.
All right, next, Glenwood Motorsports. What would cause my spark plug insulators on the driver's side to crack?
I don't know. It makes no sense why it would be only on the driver's side, not the passenger side. Unless you got like a crew guy on one side and a crew guy on the other, and one of the guys is like going crazy. I don't know, really. Can you send me pictures of it?
Well, you can't through it here.
No, I mean, not through here, but I mean, hendrenracing@gmail.com. Can you send me pictures of it to where I can see exactly what you're talking about? I might have a better opinion at that point. I'll be happy to look at them and give you my opinion on what it is.
Great. Is that something that you see very often, though? Is spark plug insulators breaking? No? Or cracking?
Mm-mm.
Can that happen if you tighten them down too much?
Potentially, yeah, because you can actually, I mean, most spark plugs do have in general, you're going to be torquing them like 15 pounds max, foot-pounds.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's possible to actually break the spark plug yourself if you're like over-tightening them. So I was saying if you had a crew guy on one side and it was a gorilla and one on the other, it was like a little wimpy dude, that could explain what's going on. But, yeah, just send me a picture of it, or a couple pictures. I'd be happy to give my opinion.
You always have one.
They're like assholes. Everybody's got one.
All right, next up from Jarrett. He says he's moving to a street/super stock class and going to be going with the 604 option. Rules just say you must run a Holley 4-barrel carb, no aerosol carbs. Is the Ultra XP basically the way to go? 650 or 750 CFM better for the crate?
I would say, yeah. I mean, if that's your only choice, then that Ultra would be the way to go. I would definitely go with the 650 version.
Well, I thought you didn't like the Ultra XP.
Well, that's his only option.
No, it says it must run a Holley 4-barrel carb.
Correct.
No aerosol carbs.
Correct. Yeah, so I would go with the HP or the Ultra XP.
Okay. Wouldn't you okay, I thought you liked
Ultra HP, whatever.
Yeah, but I didn't think you liked that one because it's not.
I don't like it because there's no reason to use it if you don't have to use it. Oh, he's got to use it.
Oh, because
it's got to be a Holley. It can't be a BLP center section or a Willys center section. It's got to be a Holley standard cast carburetor.
Okay. So not just a standard like Holley 4150.
God, no.
Okay.
No.
I mean, this is a great thing to know. I was not aware of this. Yes, that's exciting. That's good to know. And you'd go with
I'd go with a 650. Yeah, honestly, 750 is too much in most scenarios. Unless you're just running on a half-mile or 5/8 mile track all the time, and starts and restarts don't matter. The 650 will do you better.
Great. And Glenwood Motorsport says, yes, I'm heading to Kate's tomorrow to get some, so I'll stop by and show you.
Yeah, do that, please. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll be there all day tomorrow, obviously.
Yeah, and I think Glenwood Motorsports, I think they're in Marion, so they have to drive by your shop to get to my shop.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, please stop by and show them.
We're like 5 miles apart, you guys, on the same road. So, yeah, it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, I'll be happy to look at them.
That's cool. So what else is going on? I know what else is going on for you.
What?
Your fantasy football team.
Oh, finally, fucking football season. Thank God. I am so tired of being bored on Sundays with no damn decent sports on. And Saturdays. I mean, college football is going too. So, yeah, no, I'm like completely happy.
Well, and now our show is at a perfect time so that you can then go and watch Monday Night Football if you want to. Doesn't it start at 8?
Monday night? It's 8:15.
Well, see, perfect.
I know. So
our show's at 7.
exactly.
Gets done, then you can,
Yeah, and I'm in like 3 fantasy leagues. So
3 now?
Yeah.
I knew you were in 2.
Jeff Smith called me the other night. He's like, "Hey, you want to be in our league? It's like last minute, I know." So I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it."
All right, so let's hear. And you guys, I would love for you to drop into the comments if you're playing fantasy football. I would love to read out some of your team names because they tend to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Is your team name the same on all of your leagues? Or
no, they're different.
So let's hear what your fantasy team names are.
My league that I've played for the last 6 or 7 years, the name of my team is HPV positive.
Why?
Why not?
What?
And then I've got my other one is shit. What is it? I can't even remember. It's like too hard to keep up with. Oh, just the helmet. And then my other one is biggest Dak.
Biggest
Dak.
Okay.
Dak Prescott.
Yes. Yeah. Did I see a headline where he's going to be out for a few games?
Yeah, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. He's going to have a pin put in his thumb.
Okay. It's funny because I don't even watch football anymore. And yet I saw that headline somewhere today. Probably came out because like I've got one of those Alexas in my office that has the screen on it. So it just brings up like you just look up and sometimes it's the time and sometimes it's just some random news headline that you see.
Yeah, like some of my older teams I had, I like Vic Ate My Dog was one of my older teams. And then I had Fucktards spelled with a PH.
Yeah.
PHUK.
Yeah.
Because they just sucked that year. So I renamed them from whatever it was. I kept it for like a couple of years. So
there's some such funny team names and league names as well.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like our trivia team is alternative answers.
Right.
Because we're playing trivia.
Yeah.
So,
but there's some better names actually that we play against. Honestly.
Oh my gosh. We play against some really funny name. I don't think we can say them on the air.
The Betty White supremacist is fucking hilarious. I don't care what anybody says. Wrong.
Well, and there's this snack that we saw we go to Main Street Market is our restaurant here. And there was this snack, like it's not potato chips, but
no, it's like pretzels or some shit.
It's something, but it's called Mima's Cheese Titties. Yeah. Is really what it's called. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and they adopted that name.
Yes, so they adopted that name. Yeah. So it's good. All right, we got a couple more questions here. And Brandon says, what's the average cost to rebuild a 602 crate motor right now?
At our place, it's right at $3,000. Obviously, that's right now. So next week it could be $3,100, depending on what GM does with the prices of the components that we have to buy from them. But that's usually the variable is what parts cost through GM. Mm-hmm. But yeah, on average, like $3,000. Yeah, obviously far cheaper than buying a new one. So if it can be rebuilt, we always recommend rebuilding them. Which, ironically, the 602 originally was designed not to be rebuildable because they always had the price of components priced to where it was cheaper to buy a new engine than it was to rebuild one. But that's completely flipped in 2022 or 2021 and 2022. So.
And I know that I just last week I updated all my GM Mom Life Chevrolet performance pricing because I had the new price list. I think it was dated like
shit's going up every month.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I actually didn't have to. I updated as in here's the new price list and here's all my stuff, and there weren't any prices that had to be changed.
Yep.
So they stayed flat for this particular month. I was glad to see that. Yeah. I'd like to see a whole lot more of that. Just in life in general, of the prices just flattening out and not having more and more price increases all the time. Sure. All right, Robert has a question. He says, do I need to change anything on a 604 on methanol to run the 6,800 RPM over the 6,400 RPM?
No, you shouldn't have to, man. I mean, those things are, the way these engines are nowadays, I mean, they're plenty safe at 68. So that extra 400 RPM, no, there's nothing you should have to change at all. You'll run just fine at 68. Keeping that in mind, though, I mean, if the car's working right and everything's just spot on, then odds are you're going to be turning somewhere in that 66 to 68 range. So, I mean, don't think you have to turn 60, 68 is what I'm getting at, because there are certain scenarios where you don't. But now that you have the option to, yeah, you're going to be a little bit faster.
So is that a rule change that happened?
It's IMCA stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So IMCA went from 64 to 68.
Great.
This year. So.
Okay.
And the motor is going to be plenty safe. It's not going to, live a less amount of time because it's 68 and not 64.
Yeah, because we've been running 68 on the East Coast forever.
Since they were invented.
Yeah. Or at least racing series were invented to go along with the engine.
True.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, next question. Jared's here. He says, what's the best header/muffler combo for a 604 street stock that will make the most torque without getting into a $1,700 set of stainless steel headers? Or is the stainless really worth the money in that application? Rules say must remain dual exhaust.
Mm-hmm. In that application, I say the $1,700 is worth it if you're looking like for the best of the best. If not, if your budget doesn't allow for that, which honestly the stainless is going to last you forever, especially in a street stock type scenario, because you're never going to rip those things off. They're going to be they're well protected, basically, is what I'm getting at. So it's not like a late model where you might knock one off the car. So, I mean, they'll literally probably outlive the car and the engine and everything else. And you, maybe. Well, no, you know what I'm saying? In other words, they're going to last forever. They're never going to scale. You're never going to have a problem with them. They're always going to produce the same power out of the box that they did on day one and day, 10 years from now. And your grandchildren might inherit them. So, yeah, as far as an investment goes, that would be a great investment. And then, obviously, I'm going to recommend Profabs. But the other option other than that, like if you're going to go with mild steel, which you're going to end up having to honestly replace every year if you want performance to stay the same, either the BAs or the Schoenfelds. And I don't really have a personal opinion on either one because it's not something I specifically tested with a 604 in a street stock.
And I did talk to BA last week, and I'm very excited to be able to report that they've cut their lead times down to just like 2 weeks now.
Oh, good.
They're
finally caught up.
Yeah. At least they're caught up to a measure anyway that allows them to be able to turn these around.
They really got screwed being in New York by the pandemic thing.
They really did. Yeah. And then of course racing kept going forward, but when lockdowns were happening up there, the only person who could be in the shop was Joe.
Yeah, Joe's stuck in there building everything.
That was it. And then of course racing ramped up and so they got first part of the year, even the last part of last year, they were getting it up to like eight week lead times. Yep. And so I finally kind of just I cut it off on my site. I love those guys. Yeah. I just know I was doing a bunch of refunds because customers want them right away.
Well, you just keep getting phone calls all day. When's my shit going to be done?
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing. Exactly.
Not understanding that, hey, this is the lead time.
So. It is what it is. I mean, you have a lot of factors going on there, but
absolutely.
It's real. Once you find yourself behind, it is just so hard to catch up.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know I'm sure they've worked very, very hard to get there. Probably 7 days a week, or 6.5 or something insane. I'm guessing. So, big props to BA, and I'll look forward to bringing some more of their products online again too. Yeah. Oh, I'm liking this next question right here. Mm-hmm. So Ben's here. He says, any 602 winterizing tips? Back off valve springs, fogging the engine. He's got a 7-month wait until next season.
Oh yeah. I mean, so yeah, definitely want to fog the engine. I mean, if you're in a climate controlled building, obviously you're not going to have to worry about draining water and doing all that stuff. But if the building is not climate controlled, and it sounds like you're probably in a pretty cold area if you've got 7-month wait, obviously drain the water out of the entire system. Make sure there's nothing in there because the last thing you want is like a broke lifter valley and busted bores because everything froze in there. So yeah, fog the engine. And then I would certainly back off the valve springs if you're not planning on changing them before you race the first time next year.
Are there any other tips on
other than that? Not really. I mean, most of it's going to be carburetor stuff. I don't know what kind of fuel you the carburetor is lubricated up and it doesn't the that you do use doesn't dry out inside, and you get like all that scaly shit that you'll find with oxygenated fuels, or like pump gas. Even with ethanol content, you'll get that gummy shit in the bowls and everything. Stops everything up. So I would take it apart, lube everything up, and you should be good to go.
And do you have a particular kind of, when you say lube it up, you've talked about like, I think
anything that's a lubricant and not water based. So, I mean, WD-40 has actually got water content to it. So I would use, heck, you can use everything from, I think, Marvel Mystery Oil to like Buck's spray lube at Daytona 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything that's doesn't have water content to it. Hell, you can use freaking gun lube if you want. I mean, honestly, just something that's going to stay in there. And now just remember, once you do all this, that it's going to be everything's going to be all oily when you go to light it off next season. So I wouldn't put a brand new set of spark plugs in it the first time you light it off.
Like a dead Christmas tree. No, it actually reminds me of a story you're talking about draining the water out. And I don't know if Al from Friesen, Al Walters, had told me this a while back. Several years ago, we had a really super cold winter, and there were these races that were happening down in Arizona. And so all these guys were coming from Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin. They were having to go over like the mountains to Colorado and to get down to Arizona. Well, it was so cold that they just going over those mountain passes, they would get to Arizona and there'd be this pile of water, or not a pile, but a puddle of water in their trailers because it had gotten so cold. The water froze, their blocks cracked and just released all the water. So Al was from Friesen Chevrolet, and he sold lots of engines that year.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
that would be a bad scenario.
So I mean, it's just a good thing to know too, in case anybody is going someplace cold. It's something. Who would have thought of that? Would you have thought of something like that? Wouldn't you have your car race ready with water in it?
Well, no, you're going to think. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you know that it's cold as shit outside and you've got straight water in the engine, then yeah, I mean, obviously that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Well, it's just a thought. And apparently it happened to several guys. So it's good. It's good to know.
Well, I mean, you think if it's in the trailer, it's somewhat insulated, but if inside the trailer is below 32 degrees, no, it's not. So
yeah. I mean, I think it's like a false safety thing. Like, oh gosh, hey, I've got to, hey, I can't see you, so you can't see me, kind of thing. All right. Here's another question. Bubba Doug is here. He says, Steve, how much does your 604 carburetors cost for E85? And do you have one ready to ship, or do you need me to ship mine to you to build?
All right. So the brand new ones are $1,600. Depending on what you already own, that can vary in price, like to go through or convert or whatever you got going on there. I would recommend giving me a shout tomorrow, and I'll let you talk to my brother Mike, who actually does all of our E85 carburetors, and he can tell you exactly where he's at. I don't know that he's got any. Honestly, we can't keep them on the shelf, and we're ordering like basically 20 center sections at a time and everything else, and they're getting sold pretty rapidly. Because that's pretty much what everybody's going to is that E85. So it's a pretty popular item.
And I just flashed up Steve's phone number, which is for Hendron Racing Engines. It's for anybody who's listening, it's 828-286-0780.
And I'm 99% of the time the jackass that answers the phone. So just say you talk to us on here, and I'll hook you right up with my brother there.
Yeah, and just don't share the phone number with your friends who are selling car warranties or business loans or Google business listings.
Or politicians. I don't want any politicians to call me either.
Oh, yeah. Good call. Good call on that. All right. And Bubba says, I own a Gary Williams E85 right now, and I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah, no worries. So, give me a shout. I'll let you talk to my brother.
Cool. Well, my big announcement, it's not really a big announcement. I mean, I think we've been talking about it on the show, but of course, the big event that I'm working on is the Cars Racing Show, January 6th and 7th in Hickory, North Carolina. But what I wanted to say on this show is I would love for you guys to share that information with your friends. I've got a post out right now. We've got a call out for more exhibitors. So if you know of a racing company that would be a good addition to the show, it's just hard to it's hard to like just call all the racing companies. I don't know everybody, and even the people I do know, it can be tough, you know. So
absolutely.
if we can just kind of spread the wings on that and get more people just kind of spreading the word, then my phone rings and we'll fill up the show. I mean, we're doing good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've got a good looking show. A lot of folks coming back. We know it's going to be really good. But the other thing too is I just don't want to miss those manufacturers who are coming out with a new product that may have just gotten started.
Right.
This is the perfect show for that. Like someone like Hubco, here he was, but he knew about it from Dave Hammond.
Oh, yeah.
And came down and he invents all these cool, innovative tools.
Yep.
We had Steering Buddy there last year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that was their very first trade show that they'd ever done for Steering Buddy. So, we'd love to have your input and let us know too. I mean, who would you like to see at the racing trade show? We are basically a circle track show more than anything else. A lot of dirt, but we'd like to do a little more asphalt.
And it's in Hickory, North Carolina.
Yep, Hickory, North Carolina.
Not like you're in like downtown someplace where you might get shot. So it's all super safe.
No, it's safe
and super good to attend. And it's a buy show.
Yes. So. As in you can buy things at the show. I don't know if everybody would know what you meant by that.
Oh, well, I mean, PRI technically you're not allowed to buy anything or you'll get kicked out if you're a vendor.
Yeah.
But no, this is an actual buy show. So a lot of the people, not everybody, but a lot of the people that show up there have got, we got a little kitty up. Must be your Pippi's buddy.
Pippi's friend, yes.
So, there's plenty of cool shit to buy.
Yeah, I
at show prices normally.
Yeah, I basically set up a pop-up shop there.
Yep.
Is what I do.
It's not a swap meet. It's just literally it's a buy show. So that means you can buy brand new shit at a discounted price.
Well, I can get demonstrations and talk directly to manufacturers. And plus, we'll be organizing more seminars. In fact, one thing that's really cool is Jonathan Masters from Race Know-How has a paid seminar he's doing on Friday and another one on Saturday that you can sign up for. And I think it's a couple hours long. And that'll be really cool. What a great, I always love to collaborate with other people.
Oh, absolutely.
And really work together on stuff. So it's really cool to bring those brands together.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Let's see. I've got another question here in my rambling, but help us get some more exhibitors here. Alan's here. He says, hi, hey, from upstate New York. Steve, I want to set the end play on my Crate HEI distributor shaft. What end play setting would you recommend? I have done as much as 10,000s.
I'd probably go a little bit more than that, honestly. Probably like closer to 20, because I have seen distributors with less than that, like actually lock up, and like on our dyno. I mean, not lock up, but and it was like MSD stuff that did it. So yeah, I'd probably like go closer to 20, 25, honestly, because I mean, you gotta consider that aluminum expands twice the rate of steel. So because of that, it's going to expand quite a bit and at temperature. So you got the potential just to like lock up that whole gear against bottom nut distributor. So yeah, I'd probably go like 20, 25. My opinion, but other people might say different. I have no idea, but that's my opinion.
That's a question we've never gotten here before.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be too much than not enough. I'll put it that way.
Good. All right. Next question is from Jared. He says, while we're on a roll, what about Carb Spacer? I was always under the impression that bigger is better on Carb Spacers, but I've heard people saying being up against some big open motors with a 604 that the shorter usually equals more torque. And I feel like anywhere I can get more torque is critical. So if in the case it's true, is there too short of a spacer?
Yeah, I think anything under 5/8, I'm not a fan of. I think the 5/8 spacer is like about the perfect size, height wise. What we've been playing a lot with is diameter of the holes. So in other words, as we're getting down like our billet center section stuff, a lot of what we're using right now is 600 Venturi size. And so we've been actually shrinking the size of the holes in the 4-hole spacer. down to like, really small, and we just keep seeing more and more torque. So I would, and actually, I'll tell you a little trick. If you got a 600, believe it or not, freaking Hamburgers makes a 600. I can't remember the part number off the top of my head. Hamburgers makes a 1 inch plate that we have yet to cut down, but Hamburgers makes a 1 inch plate that actually produces quite a bit of torque, and it's like cheap. It's like $120, and it comes with carburetor studs. So,
that's some knowledge that would have been very helpful. That would be very helpful for me to know.
Well, I mean, there's that.
Just saying.
It's just stuff me and my brother have been messing around with, and on my kid's car, I mean, just like, especially like his 525 and stuff, because we're like all the way down at a 600 on his 525 with that kind of spacer and stuff. And yeah, I mean, just, it's pretty amazing what some of this shit's been doing.
It's always something.
Well, I mean, you back in the day, it was like bigger's better, so like, hey, everybody's running 750s, and everybody's running 700s, and it's 650s, and then it's 680s, then it's 650s, and hell, we're down to like 600 Venturi size right now on most of the stuff that we're doing, because what we found, not only like with 525s, but 602, 604s, torque is what you want. The top end power numbers, honestly, to me, don't mean a thing anymore. Back in the day, we were chasing horsepower. Now we're chasing torque.
Right, because you had to change your parameters because you came from built engines, and it was always all about more horsepower, out horsepower.
Well, I mean, the number one question that everybody asks is always, how much horsepower can you get? How much horsepower can I get here? How much horsepower can I get there? On no matter what the application. And it's like, it's hard to convince people that honestly, I mean, you're going to create X amount of horsepower on a 604, but I'd rather have 40 more foot-pounds of torque. I'd rather be at like 430, 440 on torque on a 604 and have 400 horsepower than I would have 440 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds. So.
Okay. And
same with the 525, by the way.
And Alan says, wish you could bring your show to Syracuse, New York. You guys have an awesome show.
Yeah, you guys do. Actually, you got a pretty good show.
Yeah, I think that used to be the Parts Peddler show.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I have heard so many awesome things about the Syracuse show. That is such a huge deal. I wish I could have the crowds that Syracuse has, but we're working on it. I mean, I don't know how long that show's been going on, but I kind of have a feeling they've got about a 10 or 20 year head start on us. Mm-hmm. So, going into year 3 of the reboot, really.
Of the reboot of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the first times were back in, I think 2011, 2012, and 2013 were the first 3. And now we're, took that hiatus. Never thought I would do a trade show again ever in my life.
Until who had the idea?
Well, you mentioned it. Well, you weren't the only one. Actually, Wes from Superior Bearing was the first one. And I mentioned to you, and you're like, yeah, you should do a show again. Really? Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking I'm pretty sure in my lifetime it'd be too soon.
I'm pretty sure I was saying we're locked down. You should do a show.
Yeah, you did. You absolutely did.
All right, there you go.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. You're my hero. All right, Matt's here. He says, Kate, I want to say thank you very much. I got my shirt and hat in the mail. So he's the winner of our giveaway for August.
Oh, nice.
And Tori's been keeping in touch with my order. So your giveaway is awesome, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely. And congratulations. So big congratulations to Matt Jones. And he found something he wanted on the store. And so we just have to.
It was like $400 worth of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're getting something from Randy LaJoy. Now, something I keep on my shelf. So they're building it this week. And
that works.
We'll get that out the door for him. So
awesome.
I'm really excited. All right. Ethan has a really long question here.
Okay.
So thank you for taking the time to type this in, Ethan. Says an MSD ignition stops firing at the rev limiter chip that is in it with a 7000 chip. You break a driveline component or whatever running wide open. The tach says 7200. Knowing it could free rev over what the tach says. What needs to be checked in that situation besides valve springs, compression, and leak down? What would you do in that situation knowing an engine has been over rev?
If it's a flash situation like that, I wouldn't be that concerned. What actually hurts these engines is when it's under load and you're turning that RPM. In other words, like if you're turning 72 or consistently, you're going to be running some shit over before long, engine wise. I never recommend a 7,000 chip. Unless, I mean, you can get away with it qualifying, stuff like that. I still wouldn't try to turn one on the chip at 7,000 all day long, even though, General Motors has pretty much corrected most of the valve train failure issues with the Beehive spring. But can you put the question back on there? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it flashes that high, that's not scary to me. I mean, if 72 is going to be the max, I mean, if it goes like 85 or something, then, which I don't even think the engine can do. But if it did, then I'd be pretty concerned. But no, I mean, at 72, then I wouldn't be concerned about it at all. If it flashes, I mean, you break a drive shaft, you break an axle, something like that. I've personally had engines where I've broken axles and they've gone like 72, 73 and nothing's hurt.
Good to know. And then with the leak down, you should be doing that on a pretty periodic basis.
Yeah, I mean, leak down testing. Yeah, you want to do that about every 10 races anyway. So, I mean, they got so much valve to piston clearance. Unless you're in just absolute valve float, it's not going to be an issue.
Great. Jeremy's got a question. He says, have you ever tried to set up a cold air intake deal with the hood closed for aero, like tubes picking up air from next to the radiator or something?
I haven't. No. I mean, let's see. Cold air intake.
Kind of reminds me of the asphalt setup.
I mean, are you talking like drawing from the backside of the air box? It sounds like, like asphalt stuff usually does that, like draws from the back, just in front of the windshield, actually.
He says like tubes picking up air from next to the radiator, so that'd be the nose.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like pressurizing a box, maybe, or something like that.
Or just running tubes so that you can push air through that.
Push air through. No, it's nothing that we've really tried. Because anything that's going by that radiator is going to be hotter than what you're drawing from the outside atmosphere. So we always recommend sealing the air cleaner off completely from anything it can breathe under the hood. So I'd be more inclined to do that than I would be to run anything from, the right front corner of the car and the left front corner of the car as a tube back in and having the air cleaner, in a weird place.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I can see the logic though.
No. I mean, yeah.
You get like a hole in your nose and it's got these tubes that are coming back and just blowing air straight up onto
I'd rather have the air cleaner sealed off to the hood and the nose sealed off to the ground.
Okay. Good thought though. No, I mean, I think it's cool what they do in asphalt where they've got that whole contraption inside the nose that's taking the air and pushing it right into the radiator. I forget what they call that, like a cowl or something, but it's pretty cool. All right, next question from Colton. What is the recommendation on fuel pressure on my 604 with a stealth carb?
What kind of fuel?
I think he asked me this question the other day, so let me see if I've got that actually. And I think it's E85.
If it's E85, generally our stuff runs 8 to 9 pounds. I'm pretty sure Tony's stuff runs about the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is E85.
Okay,
confirmed, yes. E85.
Yeah, 8 to 9 pounds. Generally, our stuff runs about 9 pounds. So, I mean, between us and what Tony does and David Smith and stuff like that, we're all pretty close on fuel pressure. So, I'd say 9 pounds.
Good to know. I mean, that's a great, just quick tip. Now, how would you, if it was different kinds of fuel? What would you do for the fuel pump pressure?
Well, gasoline really likes anything over like 7 pounds. So, because you're not having to flow the amount of fuel. I mean, you're moving 33% more fuel through E85 or with E85 than what you are with gas.
Okay.
Even oxygenated gas. So,
great. Yeah.
You do need that extra pressure.
Excellent. All right. Joe says, "Hi, I've heard the newer 602s have valve springs that no longer have a damper. if this is true, are the spring retainers the same on the newer engines?
602s have never had a damper. So, is what's the same?
If this is true, are the spring retainers the same on the newer engines?
Yes. Yeah, they're identical because they've never had a damper. If you've had one that had a damper, somebody changed the springs to something that's not quite legal.
Not quite.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite.
And they would have had to cut down the guide boss in order to do it. So, which is also not legal.
And Alan says that you would be a great addition to the Syracuse show.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. Thank you so much. And Jeremy says, that's what drove the question. I need to seal it off. And I was like, what if we pulled air from under the hose, under the nose and sealed off the hood?
No, I would not do that. No, I would seal off the air cleaner from any underhood temperature and seal off the nose. I mean, as long as you're not running hot, I'd have the nose sealed off because, aero.
Yeah. And here we go. So Jarrett's like, would you be content buying an Ultra XP new from Holley, or is there more to be gained getting one from an actual Carb Guy?
You know who I would talk to on that, honestly, is David Smith. So I would give him a shout.
But I think he's using billet center sections too.
He is, but he does a lot of that stock Holley carburetor stuff. He does a ton of it.
Okay.
Because I'm honestly not a carb guy, but I can tell you that David Smith's a total badass when it comes to stuff like that. My brother's a carb guy, but we literally don't do any Holley center section stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. And I know David does. He does stuff for a lot of different series. So I would call David and see what his recommendation is. And I think Kate's going to put his number up here on the screen for you.
That is exactly what I'm going to do because David does not have a website.
Yes.
And so if you type in David Smith Carbs,
it goes to Crate Insider.
Then my phone rings. So because I am a dealer for David. So here we go. I am going to add that and we're going to show. Yep. There we go. So David Smith Carbs.
Yep. Right call David. Say we told you to call. And he's a really nice dude. Super helpful.
Oh my gosh. And such a nice guy.
I think he can definitely hook you up in that scenario that you got going on there.
Yeah, and I'm going to edit that one and not scroll it. So sorry about that. There we go. But we were going to put it up. There we go. David Smith Carbs, 706-265-5708 for anybody who is here listening and can't see the screen. So, but yeah, we love working with David. Great.
Absolutely.
Guy. Cool. And here we go. So Jared asks, and your thoughts on removing the power valve, or is that not beneficial at all?
No, not at all. No, no, do not use it. No, that's again back to 1960s technology on that deal. So no, you need power valve.
Okay. I don't know anything about carburetors. I just know carburetor people. That's my job. I didn't even ask. What are you drinking tonight, Steve?
Well, I'm about out of my Draft Ultra.
Draft Ultra in the kegerator. Well, we're about wrapping up here anyway. So
right.
So yeah, I guess we can kind of wrap things up on. I think we got through all of our questions. Gosh, I want to thank you guys all for being here. To recap our announcements, you're going to have Rush Racing Series tomorrow.
Racing Series will have an announcement, but in advance of that, I want to really thank FK Rod-Ins, Pro Fabrication Headers, and Rick Hendricks City Chevrolet, because it'll be a cool announcement.
Excellent. And I'm excited for you with all of that.
And of course, Crate Insider, because you chipped in too.
Yeah.
And there'll be a few more. So
great. And I'm excited about the Cars Racing Show happening January 6th and 7th. Again, please share that. Go on over to the Facebook page and give it a like. That's definitely appreciated. And share any of our posts. That helps us get the word out. We really want to, even if you don't live in the Southeast, I mean, heck, just share it out there, because in the racing world, we're all just so connected. But it's easy to miss when you've got like a smaller page like this. It only has like 3,000 likes or something. So let's get the word out. I mean, I would definitely appreciate that if you could share that quite a bit. So Cars Racing Show is the Facebook page. Share it, and and also just drop in comments on. I've got a post out right now, the call to exhibitors. Drop in some comments on who you'd like to see come to the show. I mean, I have no problem picking up a phone and calling somebody cold. I really don't. Happy to do that. Just kind of want some target ideas on who would you like us to call. We'll totally do that. And of course, join our email list at Crate Insider, and all the things share.
And also, in addition to those three, I also want to say Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway, Matt Miley, and the Rush Racing Series, best people on earth to deal with.
Yeah.
And if you ever get a chance to go see a Rush race, participate in a Rush race, I would certainly do it. They've got modifieds, they've got late models, they've got the big block modifieds with 602s in them. They've got asphalt stuff. Awesome series. Pittsburgh is a racetrack. Probably one of the most awesome places you'll ever go. It's a half-mile track, big-ass half-mile track that races like a quarter-mile track, and that's hard to do nowadays. It is freaking amazing.
Yeah, you can probably check out some videos over on Flow Racing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. Well, I think we'll sign out now. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep.